Welcome to the show we like to call For the Love of Real Estate, where we dive into what it means to buy or sell a home in today's world. Join host Jill Elliott, Dallas broker associate and former radio personality, as she marries her two loves, radio and real estate. She's going to have you asking yourself, for the love of real estate, should I tackle my fears and buy, rent, sell, or remodel?
Hello, and thanks so much for listening. If you could follow us wherever you listen and give us a 5-star review, that would be very much appreciated. I am located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and am always taking new clients or agent referrals. My guest is becoming a fixture on this podcast, but he is removable. Get it, Mike? Like real estate humor there?
I do get it.
We're going to keep him.
Yes, I do get it.
Mike Connor's best realtor in Kansas City. Thanks so much for joining me. And we should probably be doing the show around Halloween. We sort of came up, well, we didn't come up with this great idea, what we're going to talk about. It was actually Mike's wife that came up with it. And I don't want to say haunted houses because, you know, that might be weird to some people. But houses, I think, that have a little something extra. Would that be good for you, Mike, to kind of go with that?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can frame it however you want. I think that's one of the things we're going to talk about. And if you want to say a house that's haunted is coming with something extra, I guess that would be the way to put it.
There you go. And I'm going to let you start first because mine aren't that good. But one of them kind of is like really eerie to me. I still think about it. But you go first. I want to hear something just that happened that was just out of the ordinary, either when you're showing or maybe your clients came up with something.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a great topic because, and let me backtrack a little bit, Jill. The burning question today is, am I the only guest that you have that gives you so much technical difficulty?
Yes.
Okay.
So see, I think this is haunted. We're haunted.
Humor, yeah. Behind the scenes humor, right? No,
yes.
But I thought today, I agreed with my wife. It would be fun to talk about, you know, being a realtor. Obviously, we go in lots of houses and we see lots of different things. And I thought it would be interesting to just talk about some of the crazy stuff. And I've got, Jill, I could make this a 2-hour podcast, literally, because over the years, just so much stuff. But I wanted to start with the disclaimer, and that is, you know, these are just kind of silly things that happen, and we see all kinds of stuff. And
sure.
But sometimes things are just like unexplainable, or just kind of throws you back, or maybe scares you. And I've got a list. Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to save my haunted listing or my house with extras. I want to save that one for last, because that's
okay.
That's
which one do you want to talk about
now?
Interesting
story. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've got a lot. I think as I was walking through some interesting things that I've seen over the years, there was a recurring theme, and it had to do with animals, and it had to do with living creatures, and kind of the things that people had maybe used their houses for. Or how deeply they welcomed furry creatures into their life that maybe ordinarily might not live in a house. And I guess I could start you with this story because it was just recently, but I have to paint you a little background to give you an idea of the visual here. So I had a client who was, I don't know, he's probably 6'6", 6'7". He's a really big guy, and I'm not a small guy. And so we go in this house, and the second we got in the house, I mean, it was very obvious that there were all kinds of creatures living everywhere. The living room was full of birds and bird cages and all kinds of things. And then we went to the next room, and it was full of reptiles and all kinds of things. And then we kind of, he's in a room where the reptiles are, and I've kind of got my shirt.
You lost me at reptiles, but yeah, the reptile thing. Yeah. Okay. But go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
So I'm kind of watching him in this room, and from behind me in another room, I'm going to try to do the impression. Okay. I hear this, kind of, it sounded like somebody was in pain or something. And so, you know, you're already kind of, what's going on? And so I kind of holler at him, and I he comes behind me, and I'm gonna paint this image for you. This is why it was important to know how big this guy is. So I'm crouched down, creeping into this room with a flashlight, and he's got his hand on my back over the top of me. It's almost like a cartoon character situation. And we're walking into this room, and in the corner of each room is something that looked like either a big bed or a big crate or something. And I flipped the blanket off one side, and there's a big crate full of cats, which was, weird enough, but this sound is still coming from the other corner. And so I said, I don't know if I want to pull this blanket up. And he looks at me and, of course, said a few things. Pull it up, just pull it up. And so I slowly pull it up with my flashlight. In this cage, making that sound, was a 300-pound pig. And it was very obvious that they had the pig caged for the showings. But day-to-day living, I think that pig was a part of the family, and it wasn't a little, what do you call those little pigs?
Oh yeah, like a little
pretty small
miniature pig. Yeah.
Yeah. This was a 300-pound, that you see on a truck when you drive by on the highway.
I do have a question though. Okay, I've got two. What did the pictures look like? A, and B, what did the house smell like?
Well, I was going to try to be kind, but the smell started about 5. Yeah, it started about 5 feet outside the front door. And as we were walking around, we had our shirts pulled up over our nose. Kind of, it was rough. The house actually.
So, did your client buy the house?
No, because I told him he was going to have to buy a bulldozer as well if he did. So, no, that's it. But
did they get top dollar?
No, no, they did not. This house, it was, there's all kinds of creature / animal stories. And I think sometimes when you think about real estate, it's going through fancy houses and staged houses and all this really nice stuff day to day. But my list of craziness is probably almost as long as the normal stuff at this point. Especially the last few years, because people have taken advantage of the market as a time that everything sells, and no exception there.
Well, for mine, I have tried to find this house again, and it's almost like I can't, and it really isn't that far from me. But I was showing a client that was actually a referral, and it was sort of weird from the get-go, because even when you looked at how you were supposed to show the house, I mean, there were weird times to show it, and 2:15 to 2:30, and then skip 30 minutes. It was so many of different times, but we found a time and we were going to go see this house. And when we got there, it was like so many people were outside. I've never seen a house, even though you see things like, people standing in line, if you see that on TV to go in houses or something. I've never seen so many people in my life. It was like something like Disney World or something. And so when we walked in, we were kind of the first ones, and except there were a few people in front of us, but they were walking in, they started going in. And all I remember is, did you ever see the movie Amityville Horror?
Of course. Yeah. I lived in Stillwater when I saw that. Yep.
Right. But do you remember the part where it said, get out.
Yes, of course.
I swear, I heard, get out in my head. Like, it consumed my whole body. And what was crazy is when I looked at my client, and we were in the foyer. And as soon as we walked in, I turned my head and looked at her, and her eyes were as big as saucer. I saw her take her granddaughter and grab her by the arm and lift her up. She was like 5 or something. Lift her up, and we both just got, everybody get out. Like, we just got the whole family and we got out. And so all these people were looking at us like, well, that was fast for you guys. We just saw you walk in, and we were like, yeah, never mind. And we just kept walking. But that's basically,
that's a bye-bye, thanks for playing moment right there. Yeah.
It was the weirdest situation ever. And so we got out. Needless to say, we never bought the house.
Well, you know what? 10 years ago, I would have laughed and I wouldn't have believed that. But I have a story in a minute that I'm a full believer in what you just said, Jill. I have no doubt in my mind you heard what you heard, especially if someone was standing there with you and heard the same
I know
thing.
I did. And, I'm sure this is really going to make my phone ring right now when I say this, but I actually sometimes think houses, when I go into them, they speak to me. Do you ever feel like that? Like they're sad or no, it's probably never going to. I'm never going to have another client again after I say something like that, right? But it really is true. Like it's like they're sad, or I feel like something maybe not great happened there, or I feel like that my buyers need that house. Like the house needs them. It's like, please take care of me because these people are not. And I know it's a little bit crazy. I sort of let them make that decision.
You might be more in touch with the other side than I am. I don't know.
I think I am.
I haven't had that experience, but I don't doubt you. I don't doubt you in the least. I've heard people say that though too. I've heard people walk into a house and say, "Oh, I just feel something heavy in the house," or "There's just something off," or
something happy.
That's possible.
It could also be something happy too. Like, wow, I just feel like such this great vibe with this house. And even though they might not buy it or whatever, but I always like to see what they say first before I just go, oh my gosh, this place is creeping me out. But I sort of like have that feeling all the time. And I think that's probably one reason I'm really in real estate, to think, am I crazy or is this real?
Hold on. My question for you then, do you hear an actual voice, or is it just a feeling you get?
It's usually a feeling, but I'm not kidding on that one, on the one I just told you about.
Unless it's get out, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I'm not kidding. That really, and to this day, it still trips me out. And oddly enough, it was in the same neighborhood of another weird house, although that house I really can't explain, except that it was so perfect. I mean, perfect. So, but it was sort of the biggest house in the neighborhood. So it was, it actually, the appraisal came in low. The appraisal came in really low, like $27,000 or something low. So my people, we had to walk away from it. But that one's still sitting there. And I know it was 2016 now that I'm remembering. And that one's still sitting there. And they never put it back on the market. So that I do know that.
The appraiser wasn't able to see all the rooms, obviously, because somebody told him to get out. So
no, that was a different house in the neighborhood.
So the appraisal was done. No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I got you.
But so tell me yours. Tell me another one from you.
Another one. Have you ever been attacked by an animal before? In
a house?
Yeah.
Like a bird?
Yeah.
Or a dog?
No, like a dog, like a big pit bull looking dog. Yeah.
No, dogs love me. No, dogs love me. I'm the dog whisperer too, by the way, just so you know.
So I had a listing appointment from a referral, people that I did not know, and I got to the door and rang the doorbell, and I heard what sounded like, the dog in Sandlot behind the fence, just vicious and wicked. And this went on for about 2 minutes, and I'm just certain I'm going to hear this person, grab the dog, move it out of the room, maybe put it in the pen or lock it in the room or whatever. And it didn't happen. And so he opens the door, and there's two of them actually. And they're, I don't know, 60 pounds, 70 pounds apiece. They look like a mixture between a pit bull and a Rottweiler type thing. They were not friendly looking dogs.
How cool.
And so he's kind of pushing them back. I'm you sure it's okay to go in here? Yeah, come on in. So I went in, and the dog went after me. He grabbed it, and I said, why don't we do this? And this was actually, I said this out of fear because I noticed the stairs going up had baby gates on the stairs. So if I got inside those baby gates, and went upstairs, I'd be safe. So I got it. He said, sure. Well, let's start this way. So I climbed over the baby gate, and we go upstairs. And of course it's okay because the dogs are down there. And we get done, and we're coming back down, and he yells at the dogs and get back, stay back. And that's usually enough, right? And I took a step off the landing, and the dog had jumped up and bit me in the rear end. And he runs over and intercepts the dog basically and picks him up holding him away from his body, carrying him to a room and put him in a kennel. And when he came back, his hand from his index finger all the way down to his wrist was completely filleted open. He had it wrapped in a towel. And I looked at, I don't even remember their names. This was so long ago. And I looked at him and said, I'm like, dude, you need to go get your hand stitched up or something. And I'll be all right. I'll go when we're done. And needless to say, I said, I don't think this is going to be a match. And I ended the appointment and did not take that lift. But yeah, I got a little nip in the butt and then got to see the owner's hand filleted open. So,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's a good thing you didn't take that, because that could be dangerous because what if they broke out of the kennel? If somebody were showing that house. I mean, but I never thought I'd ask you this question, but do you have teeth marks in your butt or anything? I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked in the mirror, Jill. So I couldn't tell you.
But I asked that question because when I was younger, actually, I'm just thinking of it. I have 2 bite marks on my back, just very faint. A friend of mine, I think it was in middle school. Actually, you might know him, a friend of mine, and we'll talk about that later. In middle school, I was over at his house with just a group of friends, and I got bit by a German Shepherd, which, if you know me, I have a German Shepherd. It didn't change my feeling about dogs or animals, but it just sort of bit me in the back, and I went, oh wow, that might have hurt. And then I kept walking, and then I realized I had 2 teeth marks back there that you might be able to still see. But I
don't know. Oh. I have no desire to find out if I have any scars there. So maybe not.
Did it have rabies shots or anything? Rabies shots? Anything?
No. I just. It wasn't like a sink in. I mean, obviously, Jill, I had clothes on, so, and believe me, when I saw it coming, I was on the run. So it probably didn't quite get me like it wanted to. But that was a crazy moment. Yeah, again, for me, outside of the haunted listing, I mean, it seems like a lot of my stuff always goes back to animals. I was talking to Natalie the other day, and Natalie is our director of ops for our team. And I asked her to remind me of the story she had when she was showing a house. And this was kind of interesting. It's kind of a short one, but you were talking about, the sellers and what they disclose and not disclose, or how much, the weird times to get into the house. And you always wonder what's going on. She showed a house one time weird, where the seller's disclosure said there were no pets in the house. And there wasn't any evidence of pets in the house until you went into the basement, and there was a dog door was cut out in the basement wall. And on the inside of the house was a big cage system where whatever it was could go in and out. And there was bedding and water and stuff. And they had basically created a sanctuary for the neighborhood raccoons to come in and out. So,
that's not good.
Yep. But
that is not good.
So there's no pets on the seller's disclosure. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to see. You never know what you're going to see.
But isn't it like raccoons are sort of like, what are those? Oh, what are they with the tail? Why am I drawing a blank on this?
Rats?
Armadillos? No. No, like armadillos where they, I don't know what that is. Anyway, I can't remember. But because they keep coming back when they know the food is there. So if they know, like if the next people who came back, then they would just keep coming back because they keep thinking that someone's going to feed them.
Yeah, it was interesting.
That's crazy.
The neighborhood that she saw this house is a neighborhood that we used to live in. It's just filled with raccoons because it's very treed, and we got tired of it at one point and we got some live traps and started relocating them. And I think we probably moved 8, 9, 10 of them out to the country with this live trap. And at one point we caught a mom and 3 babies, and it was just craziness. And going back to my wife, before we relocated the raccoons, she came out with a fluorescent orange spray paint can and spray a big orange stripe down their back so we'd know if they were coming back. But they never did, brave. And we got rid of them. So yeah, well, they were in cages.
I don't care. Those things can get out of cages, which is probably another type of show for another time, because I actually had raccoons come into our attic and she had babies. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And there's a way that they get them out humanely. They put a smell up there because she thinks the man raccoon is going to come back and kill the babies. So we did get them out, but we had a lot of people that came up and said, oh, it's this or that. Like, we knew what it was because we saw their little head up, poking out, how they got in there and all this kind of stuff. But there is a way to do it humanely, but they can get out and through anything. It's amazing. So never invite raccoons
time
over.
For that person to do some deferred maintenance on their house, because there's obviously an entry point somewhere. You don't want entry points.
There is. Well, Mike, it's been so much fun. We're almost about to wrap it up. Anything exciting you want to? Yeah, I mean, this show goes by fast.
Okay, well, I've kind of saved my haunted listing story.
Well, do it.
End.
You got 2 minutes. Talk to me.
Oh, okay. Well, great people. I'll put the disclaimer here that I do believe in haunted listings, and I didn't before I got this listing. They had lived there a long time. There had been a crime there, and so allegedly there was a ghost that had stuck around. And I didn't believe it at first. They'd tell me stories of objects floating across the room and pictures being taken off the wall, and toy cars driving around in the house by themselves, and all kinds of stuff. And I believed none of it until I was showing the house, and I was standing. It was on an acre, and I was standing outside the house, and I was facing the house, and there were 2 windows on the side, and they each had sheer curtains, and the house was empty, by the way, no wind, no windows open. And I was talking to this guy, and all of a sudden, a hand, I didn't see the hand, but you could see where it grabbed the sheer curtain and picked up the curtain, and maybe he was just looking outside. And the guy actually looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" Because I guess my face went white. He didn't buy the house. There were lots of other things that happened. I wouldn't do an open house there, but I had somebody do an open house. That had things happen to her while she was there. Her laptop.
Wait a minute. Yep. Wait a minute. So you said, "Hey, who wants to do this open house?" And then some unsuspecting agent went over there. Oh, well, I would have signed up for it, even if you told me it was haunted, just so I could be there.
Absolutely. So she was there for 3 hours, and I called her at 4:15, and I said, "How'd it go?" And she said, "Oh, we had like 8 people through." And I was just waiting, for her to say something. And I said, "Okay, well, sounds good." And she goes, "I just need to tell you something." So we had 2 gals come in, and we were standing at the front talking. It was right when it started, and we heard a big crash upstairs. And I went upstairs, and the globe on the light in the bathroom sounded like it crashed to the floor and broke. And it didn't. It was balanced on the vanity. The ladies got scared and left. No. I came back downstairs, and my phone, which was on 100% charge, was completely drained. And her laptop, she could not control the mouse on her laptop to work. Interesting. I acted surprised. I was weird. I didn't tell her anything. No, I did. Of course, I didn't fess up to anything. And then I told the sellers later, I said, I told her about this stuff, and she said, "I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you that she doesn't like it when you use your laptop or when you use a computer, and she'll mess with your cursor." So they obviously knew what she was talking about. I ended up dropping the listing because
Did you?
Yes, because in Missouri you don't have to disclose any of that stuff, and I got to the point where I thought to myself, we're going to sell the house, and then someone's going to move in, and something crazy is going to happen, or the neighbors are going to walk up and say, "Oh, so you bought the haunted house?" And the first phone call would be to me, and I didn't want to deal with it. Yeah. So I ended up dropping it. But there's people living there now, because every couple of years I drive by there just to see. Yeah.
I would go knock on their door and just say, "Hey, how's it going? Anybody else move in?"
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The list. I could talk about the things that happened in that house for the next 10 minutes, but in the spirit of
Yeah.
we were coming towards the end. I'll wrap it up.
We
with that.
are. We're
I
wrapping
did not
it up.
sell it, and I did not keep it. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, think of some more and we'll do something on this again sometime soon. But thanks everybody for joining us. Please give us a like, subscribe, all that jazz. And don't forget to follow Mike. How can people find you? Just give me your website.
It's ConnorsSavageGroup.com.
And you can get all of my information to get in touch with me, JillElliottHomes.com. 2 L's and 2 T's in Elliott.
Thank you for tuning into For the Love of Real Estate. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to fortheloveofrealestate.biz to join the conversation, access the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter.